Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Inner Path podcast. I'm your host, Bia, and as always, I'm really excited to be here. So, today I decided to bring this concept of not settling for the bare minimum to the podcast because it's something that I live by, and I feel like it's so important if you want to create the life of your dreams, whether that's in your career, in your partnerships, in your friendships, whatever it is. But it is a very important concept because it will dictate the life that you are creating for yourself or not. And it just goes way deeper than we might know, because usually this concept is used around relationships specifically, like don't settle for less in a man or anything like that. But it's just it goes way beyond that. It goes way beyond that. And so that's what we're going to be exploring today. I'm just going to have a conversation with you guys about this. The first thing is that when you settle for the bare minimum, it's usually because you either have this kind of wound and you have this need to fill up that space and to soothe that feeling, that pain, that suffering that might be going on within you, even if you don't notice it consciously. But if there's something there that is hurting, you will try to find ways to make it hurt less, to soothe that pain, or to just kind of make it go away, distract yourself. There's just, I don't remember the word that I'm looking for, but it's basically when something hurts, you want something to like fix it as quick as possible. And when that happens, and we're not really aware of this like pattern, we're not really aware of this reaction that we have to our own pain and our own suffering, then we end up settling for the bare minimum, settling for something that we don't truly want. But it feels like at least I have this, at least it's good enough that I don't have to feel like crap. So that's one of the reasons why we settle for the bare minimum. And I think the other reason, and these are the two that I can remember right now, maybe there's more, but the other reason that I found myself settling for, it's usually also because there's some kind of limiting belief in the way. Maybe because I grew up in a certain environment that showed me that only that was possible. Like, for example, in relationships, if your parents didn't have the best relationship, or maybe there was no relationship, whatever it is, but whatever your childhood experiences were, that can shape you to believe that that's the only possibility for you. For example, if your parents struggled with money and finances, then there's a part of you that is going to believe that that's all you can do. That's all you will ever be, because your brain, when you were younger, it absorbed this concept of that's life. That's all you knew. And so that was your entire reality. Because although nowadays, there's rich people, there's people with lots of money, but they struggle with money still because they're always scared. There's people that feel confident in their money. There's people that, don't have that much money but live happily. There's people that don't have a lot of money and are always struggling. There's like all these different realities, and now we know that because you know, we are grown up. We grew up, and we have access to like all these different perspectives of reality. And so rationally we know that there's not only one way our life can go. There's not only one reality available for us, because reality, life has infinite possibilities. Yeah, it's limitless. There's no limit to what you can create in this reality. And that is true when you look around you and you know that yes, there are people living in a very bad reality. There are people that are like very poor and they're very like struggling. There will always be bad in the world, and if you focus on that, that's all you will ever see. But when you choose to like notice that there's also like all these other realities, there are people that are, making their dreams come true. There are people that are like living a fulfilled life, living a meaningful life, that are people that are like pursuing their passions and doing things that they love, that they're going for it and they're succeeding at it. And when you recognize that there's all these different like possibilities, because it is possible, and if it is possible in someone else's reality, it means that it is also possible in yours, because that's how life works. Like if something exists, it exists, period, you know? And if an abundant reality exists for someone, it can exist for you too. And consciously, we might understand this concept, but in our subconscious mind, we're still living in the four walls that we grew up in. We're still living in our household with our parents that maybe struggled with money, or maybe told you all the time you need to work hard to get money and to, to even survive. They didn't do much fun like activities. Maybe you didn't travel much. I'm talking also about my own experiences. Like there was not much going on. You were always one of the kids that had less and that, didn't have the best clothes or whatever it was. And so you grew up perceiving reality as I can't have it all. And if I want more, I have to like work my ass off for it until I have nothing left for myself. I grew up believing that. And I know subconsciously there might be still a part of me that believes that. Because these are the beliefs that we create are based on the reality that we knew at that time when we were young. They say that like until around 7 years old, you're basically a sponge, like you're absorbing everything. So everything that you see around you, especially in your household, it shapes the way you view reality. It shapes the way you perceive reality. Because in your like kid's mind, let's say, they don't know that there is more beyond those four walls. So if your parents' relationship wasn't really good, then your child self absorbed that relationships aren't good. It wasn't that your parents' relationship was bad. It was that relationships in general cause trouble or cause heartbreak, not trustworthy, etc. Right? If your relationship with your dad wasn't the best, aka you have daddy issues, then your perception on man is probably also shaped by that. Because deep down, very deeply rooted, there's still that limiting belief that was installed, let's say, with those experiences that you lived from a very young age. So that's another reason why we tend to settle in life. That's what happens. And you have no idea how much it hurts me to see some people around me, and well, even myself at some point, but now I'm very committed to not settling. Like that's a promise, like that's a promise I made to myself. It's so important to me. But it just kind of hurts me to see that so many people around me are like settling for less. It's so heartbreaking because I see their hearts and I'm like, you deserve everything. And I can't handle when people don't recognize that, because I see their hearts and I'm like, you deserve it all. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to have a lot of money and be abundant in every way. You deserve to have the life of your dreams. Like you deserve that, and it is possible. Not only you deserve it, but it is possible. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight, because it doesn't, but it is possible to build that life for yourself. I'm a walking proof of that. I know people that are creating that reality for themselves. It's incredible how much you can create and how much your life can change when you start going to the root of why you are settling. So for example, you already know this because I always talk about it, but I was in a 7-year relationship, and that was a very crappy relationship, We were very young too, so we didn't know much better, because we started dating when we were like 15 years old, and we didn't know any better. All we knew was basically what we saw from our parents, which weren't the best examples for either of us, really. For either of us, they were very bad examples of what a relationship should look like. And although we kind of knew like we don't want a relationship like them, it doesn't it's not enough to know that you don't want what they had. It's not. Because you will still find yourself going into the patterns that you saw during childhood. And that felt so true to me. Like, I knew I didn't want a relationship like my parents had, where there was so many fights and arguments all the time. Like, literally every single day, my parents would argue for like years. There was always so much conflict. They were always fighting each other, and it never felt like really like teamwork, you know, or very rarely it felt that way. Then so the environment between them was already so bad, and then there was so much mistrust, there was so much like blaming and pointing fingers, and it was just like very dysfunctional and very toxic overall. That's what I saw during my childhood, and obviously I didn't want that for myself. But knowing that wasn't enough, because as I was in this relationship with my ex, I found myself being in a relationship that felt like the ones my parents had. And believe me, when I noticed that for the first time, I was like, holy shit, I'm so fucking screwed. This is my worst nightmare, ending up like my mom and my dad. Like, no, I have to run away from this situation. Like, everything in me was like, oh my God, like, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot do this. That is my biggest fear, is like living the life of my parents, knowing that I didn't want that life for myself, not just in their relationship, but in life in general, right? Like, in terms of their finances, because I didn't grow up in a very like rich household at all. Like, we didn't have that much money. And they were always struggling with money. They were always arguing about money too. And so, like, I don't want to live like them, like what I knew of them at the time, because obviously they've also evolved in many ways, but still, I'm my own person. I have my own desires. I have my own dreams and my own passions, and I want to create a life that is that is cultivated by those passions, by those dreams, by my heart, and not by what I think I should do, what I think is right. Like, no, I'm here to create my reality, my version of my life. I'm not here to live for anyone else, not here to fulfill anyone else's dreams. I'm not here to like be doomed to a reality that I don't want. I could never settle for that. Especially nowadays that I love myself, and I love myself so much that I know I will do whatever it takes for me to live the best fucking life. There's just no way I'm settling, right? And this is what I want to bring you. Like, when you start cultivating that, you know, self-love and the self-awareness, you're gonna start feeling when things aren't for you, when things are out of alignment. You're gonna start recognizing, like, this just feels off. This doesn't feel connected. I feel bored, or I feel like this isn't for me anymore. You're gonna start feeling that more and more. It's gonna become louder and louder, because as you are on this journey of connecting to your heart, which is pretty much what self-love is, it's like connecting to your heart. The more your heart is gonna speak up, the more you're gonna realize, oh shit, like, I don't want this. I want more. I need more. And again, this applies to every area of your life. You know, I have a client in the Goddess Codes, my membership, and she is in a like job that she was just sharing with us, like, I'm not sure this is what I want anymore. And I was like, that is amazing that you are recognizing that. That is good. I know it might feel scary right now, but that is good. That is a good step. That means that what you are doing, what you've been doing, like connecting with yourself, choosing yourself more and more, it's paying off, because now your heart is speaking to you and it's telling you that it's not quite this. And so if it isn't, it's okay to shift. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change careers. It's okay to break up and change relationships. It's okay to change your entire life. It's okay to like destroy everything you've ever known so you can create the life that you desire. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily feel pleasant. It's very uncomfortable for the most part when we have to realize, when we realize like, I don't want this. This is not what I want for myself, for my future, for the life that I want to create for myself. This just doesn't cut it. This just isn't it. Like when you recognize this, then you have to make that choice of like, will I continue to embrace it and to make space for this in my life? Or will I say no, get the fuck out, goodbye, you know? And again, not just about relationships, but whatever it is. So for example, for my example in my relationship, and it took me a while to like fully embrace that it was time to leave. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like as soon as you recognize this, like do it tomorrow. Of course, like do it as soon as possible, because as you are like kind of fighting against what your heart already knows, then you're just creating more suffering for yourself. That resistance that you feel within you, it's just the inner war, let's say, of I know there's more out there for me. I know there's more that I desire. I know there's more that I want. I've said that already, but this is not the life that I want for myself. Let me leave. This isn't for me. But then there's the other part, like, no, but I'm so comfortable and this is all I've ever known. And what if I can't get better? What if that's not real? What if that's not like a possibility? And so you're just like this, you know, kind of like pushing one way, pushing the other. And it feels like a struggle, and it feels very uncomfortable in that moment. But as you continue to go on this journey of connecting to your heart, of healing, being self-aware, it's going to become easier and easier to choose yourself. Let me tell you that. It's just true. I talk about this a lot because I know if you're not in a place of having seen the results of choosing yourself or giving yourself more love, just if you're starting this journey and you're practicing, you're showing up for yourself more and more, but you're not really seeing any changes right now, it doesn't mean that your life will not change. Believe me, I did not know that everything I was doing was taking me where I was going, where I am right now. This is why I always say, like, keep doing the work, keep showing up for yourself, even if it's in the smallest ways, because the more you do it, the more you're adding up, the more you're connecting, building that stronger bond with your heart. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to get for you to recognize what feels real and what feels good, like genuinely good for you and nurturing, and what you don't want for yourself. You're going to start recognizing that more and more, and it's going to become harder to choose, let's say, wrong, right? Like to choose what isn't for you, to choose what your heart doesn't feel connected to. So for me, it took me a year to fully embrace, like, it's time to let go. It's time to break up. I can't do this anymore. Because for that whole year, I was fighting that idea. Like, if I go into my journaling sessions before I broke up, there's so many passages of me being like, I know I have to break up, but I'm scared and blah, blah. Like, I was fighting myself. And that's okay. That's also part of the process. But there came a point where I was like, this is not what I want. This person doesn't treat me well. This person doesn't treat me the way I desire to be treated, the way I'm starting to treat myself. Because that's also why you need to have a good relationship with yourself. I always say this, but you set the standards for every relationship that you have in your life. The standards are the relationship you have with yourself. And when I started treating myself better, when I started showing up for my emotions, making space for them, holding my heart as the sacred being that it is, let's say, the fact that he wasn't doing that, the fact that my ex was literally like belittling me, is that the word? Like belittling oh my god, my emotions, and just kind of making fun of it, or acting like I was crazy and silly for feeling the things that I felt, and for honestly just recognizing the truth, which was, this is fucking bullshit and toxic, and you're toxic, and you're lying, and you're fake. But he was like, you're acting so crazy, like making fun of me for crying or for whatever. I started being like, I can't accept this anymore. Every day I pretended I was okay with it. I was like, okay, because I didn't want to cause any trouble. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to confront the situation because I was tired of feeling like he didn't listen to me anyways. I was tired of feeling like he wouldn't change. I was tired of feeling like I was the one always causing trouble in our relationship just because I was speaking up on the things that were bothering me. So I kept being quiet. A lot of the times I didn't say the things that bothered me. I tried to shut up, believe me. Although it wasn't very successful because, as you know, I talk a lot. I have the need to express myself. So it was so hard for me to just shut up. But even though it was hard, I still tried because I wanted to keep the peace so badly. But I just couldn't anymore. Because I was like, when I am silent, I am consenting. I am saying yes to the way he's treating me. When I don't speak up or I don't like leave him, I am saying to myself, this is what I want, because this is what I'm making space for. You need to reject what isn't for you. You need to reject what you don't want in your life. This is so crucial. And I'm not just talking about the bare minimum. You can't settle for anything less than what you want. It's not just about, not being that good. Like, don't settle for anything less than what you truly desire. And that is, for example, in my relationships, that's been it. Like, I'm not going to settle for a guy that isn't clear that they want me, that he wants to fight for me, that he can hold space for me, that he will show up, that he will invest in me, that he will nurture me, that he has his own thing going on, because I don't want him to like depend on me or anything. Like, I want him to be a man. Like, I want him to be, a person of his own with his own like things to achieve, his own purpose on here on earth, and I want him to also understand his own emotions and do his inner work, because I'm not going to try and like teach you things. Like, obviously we learn with each other, but I'm not going to like act like you're my fucking kid, right? I'm not going to do that ever again. Like, if you don't know your shit, I'm not going to be the one to teach you, because one thing is for sure, no one learns just because you try to tell them something. Everyone learns when they're willing to learn, when they're willing to grow. So that willingness is so important to me. And if I see someone that isn't willing to grow, willing to expand, willing to heal, and do their own work and be in their own inner journey, I can't. I just can't. I won't settle for less than that. And if they're not very clear that they want me, then I'm realizing that I can't settle for that either. I'm not going to settle for someone that is emotionally unavailable. I'm not going to settle for someone that doesn't want a relationship, that they don't know they want a relationship, they're not sure, or that, I'm not looking into a relationship right now. Like, fine. It doesn't make you a bad person, but it just makes you not for me. I know what I want. And the more and the more the universe brings me, in this specific example, the more the universe brings to me like guys, and the more I meet people, the more I'm able to understand, okay, this is something that I appreciate and I like. This is something that I can't tolerate. This is something that I can't accept and I can't hold space for. And these are things that I'm willing to work with, But the more the universe sends me things, the more I get to understand what it is that I truly want. It doesn't mean that just because the universe sends me a guy, that it's the right guy. I get to decide that. The universe sends me, if I say I want a deeper connection, I want a beautiful relationship, the universe might send me someone because I'm like, I want this, but it doesn't mean that that person is necessarily what I want. The universe is going to be like, okay, here is like someone. Let's see if she's going to settle. If you say yes to that person, obviously it doesn't mean like don't go on a few dates, don't whatever, but it means if you settle for that person, if you say yes, as in, I'm making space for you, I'm going to invest in you, we're going to date, although a part of you knows that it's still not quite what you're looking for. Like, for example, I could have settled for guys that weren't very conscious and that had very little emotional maturity. I could have settled for it because they were great guys, they were fun, they were interesting, they had a lot of the other things that I'm looking for in someone. But that is so important to me. Like, the emotional maturity is so important to me because I know what happens when you're not mature. I know what happens when you're not aware of your emotions, and I don't want that. So I'm like, no, I don't accept that. When you say yes to something that isn't quite what you desire, what your heart desires, because this is not about materialistic, like 3D things. Like, it's not about, oh, I need to have the abs and I need to have the whatever. Like, it's not about that. It's about how your heart feels. You know, it's about what your soul truly desires, because it is not a coincidence. What your soul desires, it's what brings you the most healing, the most expansion. It's what makes you feel the most connected to spirit. It's not a coincidence that you desire what you desire, right? And that soul heart desire, that's what you need to listen to. So if you say yes to something that isn't quite it, that just doesn't feel like expansive, then you are literally saying to the universe, this is what I want. It's literally that. Like, if you go on, I'm just remembering this as an example, maybe it's a worse, like a very bad example, but if you're like on the street and just walking like past the street or whatever, and there's like many people just, oh, look at this sample, like here, whatever, and you have many things that you can like try, right? Whatever you say yes to, it's whatever you're gonna get. You know what I mean? If you don't want it, just say no. If you don't want it, say no. Walk the other way. Leave, like, separate yourself from the situation, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that this is easy. It is not easy, especially if it involves your emotions, especially if it's connected to your limiting beliefs or your fears, which most likely it will be. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be healing and expansive, and it's meant to bring you closer to where you want to be. But also, as I was saying, this doesn't just apply to relationships. Like, I know I'm not going to settle for any guy because I know what I'm looking for. I know I want to build a strong bond with someone that wants to invest in the relationships, that wants to create a life together and wants to experience life alongside me. I want that. I crave that so much, to a point where I'm watching like romantic movies, like rom-coms or anything like that, and I'm like crying when they're falling in love, crying when they're being silly together, crying when, you know, they're marrying or whatever it is. I'm just crying because it's like, yes, this is it. Like, I want that. I crave that so much, and I'm not willing to settle for something that isn't that. Even if it takes a little longer, even if I have to stay single for a while, even if I have to fuck around and find out, even if I have to go on a few dates, and even if I have to fall in love again and get my heart broken. But I know that no matter what it involves, I will still choose to honor this, because the life I want to create for myself is a life full of magic, full of passion, full of meaning. There's nothing meaningful about settling. Nothing meaningful. It's shallow, it's empty. It might feel safe, it might feel familiar, but then you're just like, there's nothing here. Like, I don't feel connected to my life right now. That goes the same way for career, for example. I see so many people settling for the wrong careers, and this is something equally important. It's like, don't settle for a career you don't want. Don't settle. Never settle. If you have passions, pursue them. You don't have to drop everything right away. You don't have to quit right away. But do not just accept not doing something that you're passionate about. Just like I'm not accepting not doing music. I'm going on The Voice. I'm doing that. It's very scary, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna publish my own songs. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep singing forever. I might even do some like live concerts eventually. I've been thinking about it for a while. But I'm going to do that. I'm not going to settle, cuz what's the point? If you're living a life that doesn't feel like your own, you're not living a life that truly just speaks to your heart, like, for me, there's no point. There's no point in sacrificing that. Because although I believe that this is not my only life, I believe in past lives, I believe in reincarnation, I also believe that this life counts. This life counts, like, because I'm here. I'm present. It counts because, you know, everything counts. So I'm making this life the best life. I'm making sure that I'm going to be fulfilling my heart. I'm going to make sure that I feel overflow in every area, and it doesn't mean that it's always amazing, and it doesn't mean that I always master this. Like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning how to like to choose better for me, to not settle for my old habits and patterns and for my old way of living if I want different things. For the career, for example, don't settle for a job just because it's safe. I'm not saying quit right away again, but I'm saying look for more. Look for something else. Question yourself. How can I, like, what makes me feel excited? What is something that I could do that would, make me feel inspired? What is something that I want to help people with? Like, what is it? Like, if you want to be a psychologist, for example, but for some reason you don't make the exam, and so you can't, like, actually, you're not like a licensed psychologist, for example, it doesn't mean quit. Maybe it means, okay, how can I still do it and still help people and fulfill this dream? And you look for another way, because maybe the reason why you didn't get the license in the first place was because that was never the right path for you. Maybe you're meant to speak on, like, speaking shows, or like, speak online, or have a podcast, or like write a book. It doesn't matter, but like, there's so many options. There's so many, like, infinite possibilities for what you can do and how. So do not settle just because you're scared that what you want and what you desire can't be out there. Because I promise you, there is someone living that life right now. So you look for it. You try different things. You adjust as you go. It's okay. You do not have to figure it out right away. You do not. Just like I might go into a relationship and later realize, okay, this is not really what I'm looking for. Is it gonna hurt? Yes. It's probably gonna be very painful because my heart is very big and I feel a lot. And so it might be heartbreaking. But I'm still gonna choose to open up. I'm still gonna choose to go for it if at that moment it feels right. But if then I know, okay, I don't see us evolving in a direction that I want for myself, then I will say goodbye. Because ultimately, I know if I say yes, if I keep going, if I keep accepting that and holding space for that, I'm not going to be myself. Like, I'm not going to feel connected. For me, that's the most important thing. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's the most important thing. Feeling connected to my life. Feeling like it's mine, my creation, my song, my book. You know what I mean? It's mine. I'm gonna create it, co-create it, obviously, because there's the universe, but ultimately it's still for you either way, and so don't settle for the career. Don't settle for the friendships if you feel like your friends are a bit toxic, if you feel like they don't make space for you. I'm not saying you have to drop all of them, but maybe don't give so much energy to them. I have friends that I love that I've noticed, like, okay, this is not someone I can hang out with all the time. This is not someone that is willing to give me more than this. So I also have to create a safe distance of, like, okay, I can't expect more, and I'm not going to go out of my way to make space for this person or to invest in this person because it's not the type of connections that I want. Let me invest in the connections that give me something, that bring me the fulfillment that I want, that And not just because they give me things, as in, of course, relationships are about exchanging energy and love and all of that, but it's not, I'm not saying this from a place of you need to get something out of a relationship, but you naturally get something out of a relationship when it's a good relationship, you know? And it's not necessarily what the other person does for you. It's like who you become with that person, the life you build. Like, I love investing in my best friend because I love that we are growing together. I love that we're both invested in the relationship. I love that we have both created a beautiful relationship because we're both committed to making it grow, to healing in the relationship, you know? That is something that I value. I value friendships that give me what I want. Not just because that person is giving me what I want, but because it's the type of connections that I desire. I desire strong bonds. I desire to grow up with people. I desire to share my life with people that mean something to me. Not everyone can be that, and that's okay. Maybe I can still go out with that friend and that friend, but it means that I might not again go out of my way to make space for them. And if I have friends that treat me like shit, then that's like a no. I'm not even gonna go there. Like, just no. It doesn't matter if I've known you for my entire life. It genuinely does not matter. Because if I say yes to that, I'm saying yes to being poorly treated. If I say yes to a toxic relationship, I'm saying yes to toxic relationships. I don't do that. You are constantly communicating with the universe. When you accept something into your life, when you open your doors to something or someone and you let it stay, you are saying, I welcome more of this. This is where I'm at. This is what I want. That's what the universe picks up. And if you're like, no, I'm not opening my doors to you, I'm not giving you access to me, or I'm not gonna invest in this person or in this thing, you're saying to the universe, I don't want this. And so the universe will not give it to you. You know? The same way goes, if you're so used to, this just came through, like if you're used to toxic relationships, for example, and a healthy person comes in, and you might feel that resistance because all you've known has been toxic relationships. So part of you will want to reject the good relationship. That's also something that happens. Like, we reject what we want sometimes because we're scared that we are not good enough for it. We're scared that we can't hold space for it. And that applies to, more money sometimes, like getting a raise or selling out on some program or just following your dream career. We don't even go there, although maybe we've had opportunities to go there. We've had opportunities to fulfill those dreams and to create that reality for us, but we were so scared that we said no. That is also sending messages. That's why being self-aware is so important, because then you recognize these patterns. For me, it would be easy to settle for, maybe a bad guy, a bad boy. I mean, they're sure hot, they sure attract me. But I know, oh, there's no fucking way. Because as soon as, the bad guy isn't just a visual thing, and it's like the way they speak, the way they treat me, it's like, it's so unattractive. Nowadays, it feels unattractive. But before, it felt like normal. It was just what I knew. So I would embrace that. I would be like, I mean, they're fun. They make me feel good because they give me attention. Can they grow old with me? Can they create the relationship I desire for myself? Can they be the partner that I desire for my life? Can they be the like father of my children if I want to have kids? No. But am I still gonna say yes because at least I'm not alone? And at least this gives me a sense of like being loved? Yes. You know what I mean? We don't want that. So make sure that you're being very clear on these standards. Bare minimum is not acceptable. We want much more than that. We want to fill our cups. We want to feel excited. We want to feel passionate. And above all, we want to feel whole. We want to feel connected to the life that we're creating. Because that's a whole other thing, like It's very different, and you can see it. Like, I can see it in people's eyes, and in the way people speak, in the way people connect to each other, in the way people talk about themselves or about life. You can see when someone is connected to a meaning, to a purpose, to a feeling, to their lives, to what they're creating for themselves. And you can see which ones are the people that are just creating because they don't know what to do. They're just doing what they think is best. They're not connected. You can feel that. That is palpable. Like, I can see that from a mile away. It changes your energy. It changes your attitude towards life. It changes everything. It changes your resilience. It changes how you view yourself even. Like, it changes everything. Believe me. I've spent years not knowing what I wanted out of life, and I remember being in high school and being like, everyone knows what they want. And I'm like, here, I have no fucking clue. The truth is, no one really knew, but I thought they did. Because everyone was settling for something. Everyone was like, I want this, I want that. But like, for the most part, I'm sure now that most of them went and invested in paths and journeys that deep down they didn't feel connected to. They were like, okay, this is the only option. Like, when I chose marketing, it was like, this is the only option I can bear, because it's the only one that is slightly creative, that gets me closer to the things that I want to create for myself, like my online business and all of that. So I thought, why not? Like, that's the only thing I could settle for. But eventually I realized I can't even settle for this, because I just feel so disconnected. Like, it feels so wrong. It just doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like the life I want to create. So I dropped out. It was fucking scary. But I'm glad I did. I don't regret it at all. Because the more you embrace a path that isn't for you, the more you're going to feel disconnected from yourself. That numbness that you might feel, the disconnection, the feeling of like you're living but you feel like you're dead, kind of, like you're not really alive. You're not really like, you know what I mean? Like, you just feel, that's my life. Whatever, another day. Like, I don't want that in my life. And I know, and no one wants that. And that does not have to be your life. That just doesn't. But you need to want to commit. And that starts with understanding, what type of life do I envision for myself? How do I want to feel? If you don't know, like, the career, if you're not sure about, like, what it actually will look like, because I'm also not 100% sure. Like, I don't have the, like, clearest vision, and I don't need to know everything, because I trust that I know how I want to feel, and I'm going to follow that like feeling as I move through life, and I know it will take me where I need to go and where I want to go. If you don't have a clear vision, you don't need to, but just focus on how you want to feel. How do you want to feel? And what can bring you that? What makes you feel that way? Do more of those things. Invest time in the things that make you feel how you want to feel, because then you are saying to the universe, this is what I want. Make space for the things that make you feel like you want to feel. Does that make sense? Like, if I want to feel connected, if I want to feel creative, for example, and I want a life full of creativity and inspiration and all of that, then I'm going to create more. I'm going to paint, or I'm going to draw, or in my case, I'm going to sing more. I'm going to, write songs, and I'm going to invest more time on that. I play ukulele almost every single day because I want to make space for that, because it makes me feel connected to me. If I want to create community, then let me make space for my friends. Let me start going out and go to more events so I can meet more people. Let me make space for it. Because for me, it's easy to settle for a life full of isolation. I mean, I work online. It's easy to be alone. I like being on my own. But I know a part of me desires that connection. I know a part of me desires community. So I'm going to be like, okay, let me put myself out there. And it's scary. I mean, I feel very nervous when I meet new people. Like, sometimes it makes me even sick, There's a little anxiety there for sure. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's a bit smaller, but it's there. Like, it feels uncomfortable to meet people for the first time. Sometimes even for the second time, you know, like, it feels uncomfortable. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I don't want to settle. I don't want to settle for comfort. I don't want to settle for what I think I can do. No, I'm gonna think outside of any limits that I have. If I want a life of like being able to have money to live however I want to live, then I'm not just gonna think about having like 2K every month. I'm gonna think about 10K. I'm gonna think about being a millionaire. If I'm not a millionaire, I'm not gonna be sad, but I know it's possible. So I'm aiming high. I'm like, I want to create a life of abundance. And if I want to create that, how can I create abundance right now? By being around nature, by doing things that I love, by creating the programs and creating the things that allow me, that give me the structure to hold space for that abundance, by organizing my life in a different way, by choosing to have or receive money, that's a better word, by choosing to receive money by doing things that I love. Because if I'm just earning money, then it doesn't matter. I'm not going to feel connected, so it's not the point. You know? I can't settle for just making a lot of money but then not feeling happy. And I can't settle for not making almost any money because I'm too scared to even try to go for more. I'm scared that, you know, that I'm not able to hold so much success. I'm scared that I'm going to fail, or I'm scared that it's not for me, because a part of me believes that I could never have that much money. I could never be successful because that's not what I felt during my childhood. That's not what I experienced. But as you are aware of this, you can push through the limiting beliefs. You can recognize the wounds and be like, okay, maybe it's hard for me to be single because a part of me craves that deep connection. A part of me craves that like male approval. A part of me has major daddy issues, but I'm not going to settle. And when you recognize the wound, then you can find other ways to soothe yourself in a healthy way. You can find ways to connect to your heart, and you can continue to focus on what you want. So if I want to meet a guy, that also means that I'm going to have to put myself out there. I'm going to have to talk to guys. I might fall in love with someone, just like I said before. Like, I might fall in love with someone that isn't the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. That is terrifying to me. That specifically is so terrifying to me because, you know, it's my heart. It's scary because I feel a lot. We all do. And I don't want to do it. But I know that I don't want to settle for never opening my heart again. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do the hard things sometimes. And I think that's what matters. When you have that self-awareness and you're recognizing the patterns and you're starting to be like, oh, I'm settling. Like, I'm settling. Every time I recognize that, I'm like, how can I choose myself? Like, how can I choose the opposite of settling? How can I choose to challenge myself? How can I choose to go beyond what I've known so far? If I want to travel the world, I'm not going to settle for not traveling the world, you know? I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out a way, you know? You can figure it out. Everything, I love this. Honestly, I heard this the other day and I feel like it's amazing. Everything is figure outable. Everything. You can figure out everything. There's always a way. Something else that I heard today that I feel like it fits in here. 5 plus 5 is 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. There's so many ways to get to 10. There's so many ways to create the life of your dreams. So don't settle. Keep finding ways. Keep finding ways to connect to that meaning, not for tomorrow, not just for tomorrow, but for today. Like, if I want community today, I'm meeting a friend. Like, after this, I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna meet a friend. I've been making a lot more plans to meet people and to meet friends because I want to create that. I'm talking to guys online. I'm keeping that open because although I'm okay with taking my time right now. I also know that I don't want to close that door. I want to keep it open. If a guy approaches me and wants to talk, I'm gonna keep it open. I'm gonna continue to allow it until I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. Then I dismiss it. Then I'm like, goodbye, you know? But I'm gonna stay open and curious about how can I create this life for myself? How can I live the best life that feels the best to me? And that's what it means to not settle for the bare minimum. You don't settle for anything less than what you truly desire. And you can check in with yourself again. Ask yourself, where am I settling in my life right now? Where am I settling in my life? And how can I change that? So that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I feel like, yeah, I'm glad I did this episode. I was actually planning on talking about something else, but just didn't feel right. And I didn't want to settle. So I was like, no, I want to create episodes that make me feel excited, that make me feel inspired. So I'm not going to settle for that episode. I'm just going to figure it out, and I'm going to write about something new, or talk about something new. And here we are. And I feel inspired. I feel like this is the type of episode that I want to post, that I want to put out there for you guys. Because I know it can feel inspiring. I know it can help you reflect. I know it can help you just connect whatever dots you need to connect. So you can click and be like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is where I need to go. This is where I can't go. This, you know, like, I want that for you. And that's why I want to create things that inspire me, and I'm not settling for less. That's actually something, okay, before we end, I guess I can share this, that for me, that's been something very important. So besides the men, the guys, besides the community, and, you know, like, putting myself out there and remembering that, like, reminding myself that I really want community. So, like, let me not settle for staying in my house all day, every day. The other thing is, for example, in my business, something that I really want is to feel inspired with what I do, with what I create. And that means that sometimes I'm going to have to say no to just, oh my God, I need to do content. Let me just, like, create something, when then it just feels off. Like, I want to create from a place of I am inspired, or as I am sharing, I feel inspired. If I feel disconnected from what I'm saying because it just, I don't know, maybe what I'm saying is good, but it just doesn't make it for me, like, it doesn't make me feel any sort of way, like, in any sort of way connected, then I dismiss it. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to post today. Okay, I'm not going to show up online. Okay, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to give myself space. And that is hard, because a part of me is like, no, you need to create every day. You need to create all the time. Sometimes it's not what I need to do. It's not what I feel like I have to do. And I want to honor my heart, because if I want to create a life connected to my heart, then I have to honor it. And it doesn't mean that logic is never included. I want to create the right structures in my life. I want to plan. I want to strategize. But it always comes from a place of, how can I create a good container for my heart? How can I create, for example, a business structure that helps me be as creative as I can, that gives me enough space to create, which is my favorite part. That gives me enough space to also live and feel inspired with my life, the life that I'm creating. That gives me enough money to do the things that inspire me, make me feel happy, and make me feel connected to my life. All of it starts with structure too, obviously. But still, my priority is my heart. How do I feel? And not on a, like, surface level of, okay, I feel sad today, or I feel meh, or I feel angry. No, like, how do I feel as in my soul? Like, I tap in, and right now I feel inspired. I feel connected, because I know what I'm saying comes from my soul's truth. That is how I want to feel. That is what I want to cultivate for myself. So I'm not settling for just saying something, for just making content. No, I want to make art. I want to move hearts. I want to move people's hearts. I want to reach out to people's hearts. I want to make a difference in my life and in everyone else's. So I'm not settling, and you shouldn't too. Okay, that is it. I feel like that was an amazing episode. I'm really glad I did it. And I hope you enjoyed it too. Make sure you share this with your friends. If anyone needs a reminder to not settle for the bare minimum, you can always send them this episode, because I know it's like a lot of people are settling for the bare minimum sometimes. And if they need a reminder, share this with them. You can also tag me on Instagram in your stories and let me know that you're listening. I love to see you guys. And yeah, just follow. Make sure that you don't miss out on any weekly episodes coming out every Thursday. And I hope you have a great day, guys. Talk to you very, very soon. Bye.